I also like the defensive tackle from Alabama, Jonathan Allen. That's his name, right? Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was amazing when I watched him play.
So Jamal Williams isn't the best player this year's
No,
draft?
he is not.
Is it close?
No.
Well, he's the best running back to ever come through BYU, and he's not going to have his name called in the NFL draft today, but he is graduating. Did you know that? It's graduation day.
Awesome.
Nicole Williams is flying into town, Cougar fans. She may have already landed. I got a text that she was on her way to Provo for graduation day, and I saw a tweet go out today as well with her. I don't know what it is. It bit emoji? Is that what it is? The bit emoji where you create your own little your emoji person.
It's a popular Snapchat thing, Ben.
Is it?
It's popular on the Snapchat.
Yeah.
The Bitmoji, get
the Bitmoji,
the summer wardrobe. You wear the Nike gear. Yeah.
You got to keep it fresh. My favorite one actually that I received is one Greg Wrubell. I got a Greg Wrubell Bitmoji one time as I was texting him back and forth, and he came at me with the Bitmoji, and I was like, wow, Greg Wrubell dropping a Bitmoji on me.
Did his Bitmoji look like him is the question.
It did. Oh, of course it did. Like
it was an accurate reflection.
It was an accurate reflection of Greg Wrubell. Yeah.
Good deal.
Mm-hmm. Do you have Bitmoji yet, Brandon?
I don't even know what it is.
Well, get to know. You need to get on the Bitmoji bandwagon. I know Mitch Harper does because he is he's always abreast of all things new. As I mentioned before, he's got his spectacles, Snapchat spectacles. He's doing the Facebook Live. Is this live right now? Are we good?
Live.
All right. So great. Cougar fans, Thanksgiving Point Golf Course, the Bistro 72. I got a turkey bacon avocado
ketchup on the
sandwich.
side.
Well, yeah, I already ate my fries.
You dropped like half that ketchup bottle.
I have problems. I admitted it. I admitted it last week or earlier this week. I got issues with sauces.
Criddle loves the sauce.
I need the savory sauce. Okay, but the turkey bacon avocado sandwich is delicious here at Bistro 72. Come in and join us. We got a great show for you, Cougar fans. ESPN960sports.com. You can stream us there. You can stream us from our iPhone or Android application. From the respective app stores, you can download it. It's brought to you by Freeway Tire Pros in American Fork, your full-service mechanic you can always trust. And also, send me your tire sizes. Brandon C. Gurney did it. Mitch, you haven't sent me your tire sizes yet. You said you would, and you haven't.
I keep forgetting to.
You need to do it.
Find out. I'm not smart with the cars, so
send me your tire size. I'm gonna get you a quote.
It's really tough. You go out to your car and you look at the tire.
Look at it. There's a little.
It has some numbers on it.
How do I measure it, guys?
It's not that difficult. You don't need a measuring tape. You just look at the size on the tire and it'll tell you. Brandon C. Gurney did it. He got a great deal over at Freeway Tire Pros in American Fork. You can too. We appreciate all that they do. Great show for you Cougar fans on our ESPN 960 starting lineup. We're going to discuss some UNLV football. We always like to get to know the foe in the offseason, post-spring analysis, and where these teams are at as we project into the future, the wins-loss columns of 2017. That's something we're going to continue to talk about throughout the offseason. But Gilbert Manzano, I believe he writes for the Las Vegas Journal. Is that correct? The Las Vegas Review-Journal. Will get Gilbert on to talk about UNLV football, that coaching staff there. That's an intriguing hire for me. Just a few years ago, came over from Bishop Gorman Sanchez, I believe his name is, and he had so much success there at Bishop Gorman, and now he's the head coach for UNLV. They've made strides, but when was the last time UNLV was actually good? When was it that they were consistently good as well?
Seems like 2 years ago they had a decent team.
Frank the Tank,
But
back in the day. Frank Summers.
I remember. They had a couple of really good receivers. Or was that New Mexico?
Last time they were good was with Randall freaking Cunningham. That's the last time.
They had that one year, too, with John Robinson and Jason Thomas at quarterback when they won the Vegas Bowl. But other than that, when BYU was in the same league with the Rebs, they were pretty much just a bottom feeder. That's where they stood on the standings.
And it's always been the team. They have so much potential. Oh, UNLV, a sleeping giant. They've been sleeping for a long time, man.
Who said that they're a sleeping giant?
That's been the narrative forever. It's a burgeoning market. It's the only game in town. There's no one else except UNLV within that parameter. Oh, it's just a matter of time. They're going to get there. No, not really.
Do we really foresee an impact on UNLV football coming from the Las Vegas Raiders. Congratulations to Marshawn Lynch, by the way, for signing with the Raiders. Will he last long enough to play for the Las Vegas Raiders, though?
I don't think he'll do that, but I do think that UNLV being in an NFL market and playing in an NFL stadium could help their cause. And I think, down the road, when you talk about maybe realignment in the future with how Vegas is always a destination for conferences when it comes to postseason tournaments and games, I think UNLV could become very attractive. The problem for them, I think, is that they haven't had the on-field success, and they're just academic-wise not very good school.
Did you hear what Mitch is saying? They're a sleeping giant.
Yeah, I heard
That's
talk to San Diego State about that NFL stadium they're playing in and how that's helped them.
I think that's a good point, and I think that the biggest thing is that UNLV is right there close to LA. They're in the middle of by Salt Lake, so I think UNLV could potentially be pretty good. I just think that we got to see it though. But I think it will help them to appeal to some recruits to play in a nicer facility than Sam Boyd Stadium.
It can't hurt. Sam Boyd Stadium is garbage. Yeah. I don't think anyone can forget the first time driving out to Sam Boyd Stadium. I mean, they just funnel you into those streets, and it takes so long to get there. By the time you get there, you're just out in the middle of nowhere. There's just dirt all around. That's it. It's like, really? This is where the bowl game's at? Really? Do I have the right place?
Fun fact for you Cougar fans, a fun fact for both of you guys, the last time UNLV was actually any good when they had an above 500 record for during the tenure of a particular head coach. We'll break it up as head coaches. So 1968 to 1972 they went 26-23, not in a conference though, as an independent. Ron Meyer, 1973 to 1975, 27-8 as an independent.
Whoa.
Tony Knapp, 1976 to 1981, 47-20, once again as an independent. And then they joined, I believe at that time, I think it was the WAC.
Was it the Big West?
It was the Big West. Excuse me, not the WAC. It was the Big West. Harvey Hyde, 1982, 1985. That was during kind of that Randall Cunningham era, 26-19. That was the last era to have an above 500 winning percentage. Ever since then, it's all been below 500. Tony Sanchez's record currently 7-16, only 30% winning percentage. So we'll get to know the foe a little bit in the 4:30 segment. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mock the sleeping giant thing. I do that, but really they have some stuff going for them.
Do they?
They should be a good football team, at least better than what they are.
When was the last time women, drugs, entertainment, sex was a good thing for football players to be a part of?
Isn't that anywhere though? You can get that anywhere if you're seeking it.
Well, yeah, but obviously, but it's incessant in Vegas. Okay, you got pass-along cards. Okay. You got pass-along cards with all that stuff.
I've received the pass-along cards.
Look, it's Babylon, man.
Those?
You take those?
I did once, and
I'll be honest. I feel a little bit guilty because I handed out so many dang pass-along cards on my mission. I'd guilt them wait, you don't love Jesus? Take the pass-along card. If you love Jesus, take the pass-along card. You kind of guilt them into things. That's how I roll here. I talked to Mitch about it last time he co-hosted. I guilt him into things. I peer pressure you. You know that. Yeah, you feel that. Well, that's what I did on my mission. I feel kind of bad if I don't take it from those guys that are hardworking Latinos out there, throwing those pass-along cards at us.
You just profiled the pass-alongers. My goodness.
But every time most of them are, they're hardworking Latinos out there.
They are.
Am I wrong?
No, say no to it.
Gosh, man, I don't want to say no. I just kind of pick it up and then I throw it away. Okay. At any rate, Gilbert Manzano, 4:30. Paul Peterson, head coach for Snow Junior College, will join us at 5 o'clock to wrap up his spring ball. And then one thing I want to find out from him is who are the recruits that are getting targeted by these local schools? I think that's intriguing. We're in the recruiting roundup off season right now, and I got to know where you got Snow Junior College down in Ephraim, about an hour and a half away from Brigham Young University, 2 hours away from University of Utah. What is it, 4 hours away from Utah State? And how are these schools tapping into Snow Junior College right now? Who's going to get a leg up on the competition? and who's going to develop the best relationships down there. And I wonder if BYU's in a good place for that. Paul Peterson, former GA at BYU, went on to coach in a number of different areas. His most recent stop was Sacramento State as the offense coordinator, and he decided to come home to Utah, and we welcome him.
I think his name has been involved with just being out there with every coaching vacancy BYU has ever had for the last 10 years. Paul Peterson's been
fantastic quarterback in
college.
One
of the first, and for good reason. I mean, he has really good.
Beat out Matt Ryan at Boston College. Yeah, I agree. Do you want Paul? Where do you see Paul fitting in within the BYU?
Well, it's really hard now that they have Ty Detmer. I mean, that kind of short circuits any.
But we have a 10th assistant coach available.
His name will probably pop up again.
Does Ty want to keep working with the quarterbacks, or does he want to be a traditional offensive coordinator?
I think he's got
and roam. Well, you can still.
You're Ty Detmer. You work with the quarterbacks.
Yeah. I know. Mitch wants someone to help out Ed Lamb with the safeties, and then Ed Lamb can maybe be the overseer of the entire program and focus on the administrative stuff. Be kind of that eagle's eye from everywhere. Let Kalani continue to be the PR machine that he is, and Ed Lamb needs to delegate maybe some of his responsibilities as a safeties coach and become the guy that I always say it, and it's somewhat cliche, but kind of that wizard behind the curtain type of individual.
The only problem I have with that is I think I'd be surprised if Ed Lamb's at BYU 3 years from now. I really would. I think he's a head coaching material. I think he's jonesing for that head coaching spot. He's positioning himself. He should be somewhere.
But in order to do that, he needs to step away from, I even think, the position coach. And I just don't know what title, because he took a downgrade in title.
Yeah.
He's no longer featured. Kalani Sitake talked about in a recent article in the Salt Lake Tribune that he gets way too much credit for things that other people are doing. That's how it is. Lavelle felt the same way. Lavelle was the PR machine before Kalani. I would say that's accurate. Yeah, we tend to give, and the media does it, and the football world does it. Everybody does it. The fans do it as well. So by taking that title pay decrease, because he got an increase in pay, but essentially he got relegated to a lower title because of this decision. But he's making probably twice as much. That's fantastic, right? That was something he was willing to risk. It's hard to make that jump to the FBS as a head coach now, unless you're an offensive coordinator. Typically, Mitch, am I wrong? Offensive and defensive coordinators make that jump to head coach.
Yeah, I think so.
Not assistant head coach, special teams coach.
That's a great point. I think that you don't see many stories of it, like an associate head coach or a special teams coordinator. History has shown that it's offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators, but I do think people in the know and in football circles and the football profession, I don't think these coaching circles are ill-informed when it comes to a guy like Ed Lamb, who is pedigree at Southern Utah, coached with Jim Harbaugh. I think that's going to be the biggest thing for Ed Lamb is that
was how long ago now? 15?
But still, though, that's just you coach with Jim Harbaugh. That's going to be interesting. I mean, I think that's going to be something that's going to appeal for people when he gets a job.
He was successful at SUU, was he not? Did he win a conference title? Did he go to the playoffs?
Absolutely.
Do you guys disagree?
Did he get a better offer than what BYU had to offer?
He did not.
He didn't.
Do you just disagree with me though?
I want him to go. I want him. I want the coaching tree. I want those tentacles being far-reaching. That's what I would like for Kalani Sitake, because then you get hopefully more young talent, aspiring talent. That the youth of this industry is imperative because they're more technologically sound, right? They know how to utilize social media and other platforms. There's databases that are used in recruiting and management within a football team, scholarship management, in particular down there at BYU, academic management, all the things that go into a program. You need that energetic, rejuvenating, young, aspiring, very go-getter and aggressive mentality coming through your program. That's what you saw under Lavelle. Yeah. We just had Brian Billick come back. He's done with football, comes back, boom, he's at BYU as a GA. And then he goes over to Bill Walsh. The Bill Walsh connection with Lavelle, there should be a 30 for 30 on that style at BYU TV Sports. I would love to see that because one of the main reasons why you got Doug Scoville was because of the Bill Walsh connection. We don't give enough credit to Bill Walsh, which is funny because and Steve Young ended up going there, right, to the 49ers, and then you had Barton as well, and you're looking at me like I'm crazy.
No,
but
I'm in awe.
But it's kind of crazy that connection between Bill Walsh and Lavelle and how it led to the I guess the talent recruiting within the coaching staff.
That's why it's so that's why BYU had so much success in the NFL, because I think Lavelle had those connections to a guy like Bill Walsh, who everyone in the NFL world respected, and that's what BYU is obviously trying to get back to, that level of respect. And it's great to talk about that tonight because NFL draft kicks off this evening, first round, and then we got the rest of the weekend to see if some former Cougars get drafted, because I think this is a class where BYU could potentially have as high as, maybe if everything fell into place, 4 guys. That's the high. That's best case scenario. But or they could see just 1 guy get drafted. So it'll be a fascinating weekend. But yeah, BYU and the cross between Bill Walsh and Lavelle, definitely there was a lot of similarities between the two.
Yeah, I want to just give a shout out. I want to get to some of the nitty gritty here. No reason for the sound, Jeremy, here. I just want to give a shout out. BYUtickets.com. Purchase all of your tickets at BYUtickets.com for all of your Olympic sports. And because we're in the off season right now, that's what you have available. Go to BYUtickets.com. A couple things. I thought this was an interesting story. Kalani Sitake says our players started and this is something that Kalani has been a proponent of for a long time, is good sportsmanship. And even though I wouldn't say I was a dirty player by any means, but I was never the type that wanted to go help up anybody.
You were a mongoose.
Well, I just wasn't the type that wanted to go help people up. I just didn't want to do that. That wasn't a part of my demeanor on the football field. I like to kind of keep to myself. Even when someone would talk trash to me, I didn't even want to talk trash back. I would just give them the shush. Because I didn't want to expend any other energy having to talk to them. I just wanted to be in my game, like laser-like focus on the next play. But I do like the fact that he is a proponent of good sportsmanship, and he told his players, I want you to help up. After you knock guys down, knock them on their tails, I want you to help them back up. Apparently, by the end of the West Virginia game, initially they were knocking the hands away from the football players, the BYU football players, but at the end, I guess West Virginia was helping them up after they knocked them down.
Do you know how much the powers that be love that stuff? That is the sole purpose of BYU football.
President Worthen.
Oh, my goodness.
He's like, hurrah! Hurrah for Israel! Huzzah? Is it hurrah or huzzah?
Huzzah? I've never heard
Huzzah!
of huzzah in my life.
No, I'm pretty sure on the other side of that.
Huzzah?
Huzzah for, no?
Come on, I've been Mormon
Huzzah.
for a long time. I've never heard huzzah.
Huzzah for hurrah. Huzzah for Israel. No? Okay. Hurrah.
It's never been huzzah.
Okay.
But that's the entire point of BYU football, to spread the word, right? The powers that be, I mean, fans may disagree with that, but that's why BYU football is in existence, for that kind of stuff. And BYU had a kind of a string of bad press for a while. I mean, let's be honest, whether it was Lapuau would punch the guy in his nads, or Tijan Karoma, kind of some bad publicity out there. So that, in contrast to what had been going on lately, great stuff as far as the powers that be are concerned. I think it's a good thing for BYU. Should be that school. They should be that school. They should be the nice guys. So nice that it just irks you that they're so nice. That's what BYU football should be. So, no, great thing for BYU football.
Josh Buchanan, who is a scout for the NFL PA Bowl, says to watch out for Kai Nakua and Andrew Idy as players who might hear their name called this weekend in the draft. How many BYU football players will be drafted, Gurney?
2.
Mitchell?
I'm going to say 3.
3. All right.
3 players get drafted, and that third guy, I'm going to say Jamal, Harvey, and Taysom. Taysom's getting in the 7th round.
Yeah, I'm going to say 3 as well. I think that Taysom will be picked up alongside Jamal and Harvey.
Jeez, I almost went 1. You guys are going 3.
You know what?
I'm a little bit optimistic just because you have 3 individuals that were highly productive, not only as far as statistics are concerned, right? You compare linebackers, You compare running backs, you compare quarterback production across the entire NCAA, and all three of these guys show up in for instance, Taysom, obviously total yardage. I mean, rushing and passing and touchdowns. He's fantastic in the red zone for the most part. Before the pro style, he was really good in the red zone. But that's why. Production, and then on top of that, pro day performance. All three of the guys. I mean, Jamal was.
I'd love to see it.
Jamal is relying heavily on his production as a football player, and he's not much of a tester, as Luke Neal mentioned.
I could see a situation, guys, where we do just see two, and the two doesn't include Harvey Longy. Harvey Longy, to me, could go for like as high as the third round.
I agree.
Or he could go undrafted.
To me, the only surefire draftee is Jamal Williams. I think you would all agree with that.
Well, what's funny is I have a number of guys that I feel like are credible football analysts, and they actually believe that Harvey is a better prospect than Jamal because of that transcendent ability to knock a 320-pound offensive lineman on his back.
And all it takes is one team to have that evaluation. They grab him, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm calling 3. It's a little bit over. You might say it's blue-goggled. You may say that I'm up in the night and I'm just a BYU homer. But I think that there's going to be 3. I don't think Green Bay would have flown out Taysom Hill if they didn't think that he was going to be a prospect that could make an impact in the NFL.
Well, Criddle, I mean, look at Taysom's numbers. 4.4, 440, 10.2 in the broad jump, 38.5-inch vertical. Compare those to the numbers of Christian McCaffrey. We got a graphic up on our Facebook page right now. Mm-hmm. Christian McCaffrey, 4.48, 40, 10.1 broad jump, 37.5-inch vertical. I mean, Taysom Hill is putting up better numbers than maybe one of the best athletes in this draft.
Most of
Taysom's
those
coming off 4 season-ending injuries.
I agree, but those are very linear movements, right? You look at Christian McCaffrey's agilities and compare him to Taysom, and Christian blows him out of the water.
Well, did you see that one video of McCaffrey, and he was doing some workouts? The guy is just insane in terms of how fast he is, but it's still just kind of notable, just to kind of put some context.
I agree. 40, broad jump, vertical, all kind of one movement and go. Taysom is a linear football player. Christian McCaffrey is a guy that not only is he linear, he's multi-directional, elite in every facet. Now, can he throw a football? Maybe as good as Taysom. So if we want to go the other way, maybe McCaffrey's just as accurate as Taysom.
McCaffrey is the best running back in this draft. He's better than Fournette. I feel he's going to be a stud. But I'm very high on Taysom. I didn't think we were going to be having this conversation, but I think he does sneak in to that 7th round. Just feels like there's a lot of momentum for Taysom that he's going to find a way into that 7th round.
I wish Jamal had more momentum going in. It seems like he had a lot of momentum when it first started out, and then it's just kind of died off. You haven't really heard any upward movement of Jamal Williams. I mean, we were in 3rd round about a month ago, and now it's kind of 4th, 5th, maybe even 6th round. So that's a little disappointing, but we'll see.
# take note of Jamal Williams' career in the NFL. Like for him to be successful, he's got to put on another 10 pounds of muscle with maybe a little bit of fat too. So maybe 10 pounds of muscle, another 5 pounds of fat, and become more of a power back. Reason being is because, granted, he's got good vision, and he's a violent runner. Those guys that he's going to be playing against are just as violent. And you watch the game. What was our most formidable foe this year defensively? Who are our toughest defenses that BYU played against this year?
UCLA comes to mind. They had some really good defensive linemen.
And then
Morris McKinley.
Vanderdoes.
Yeah, Vanderdoes. I remember they just dominated BYU's offensive line that was really banged up that game. I'm trying to think, Utah's defensive line, their front 7 was really good as well. Those are the top 2 I think that come to mind right away.
And look at how much yards after contact he got in those games. And granted, we have to put some blame on the offensive line as well. I agree with that rebuttal. But he didn't last the Utah game. Couldn't play the Boise game, and Boise's defense was decent last year too. So we didn't get to see him versus Boise. And then UCLA game. Couldn't get anything going there. Now, do you put it on the offense coordinator, do you put it on the offensive line, or do you say, well, Jamal just wasn't able to do what he's done versus inferior opponents? I think it's a little bit of both. Okay, so he's a really good running back. He's an NFL running back, but he's got to continue to find the right fit, and he's got to continue to get bigger. He's got to be kind of that Eddie Lacy. He'll never be a Marshawn Lynch beast mode, but that's the type of violent running, inflicting contact, looking for contact, and imposing his will on linebackers, defensive linemen in the NFL.
And how can I forget the Mississippi State defense,
Yeah.
too? That was the game where Jamal was going for the record. We thought, it's in the bag. He had to get to overtime to break that record.
Notice, go back and watch that film. How many arm tackles did he break in that game as opposed to the Toledo?
Yeah.
Or even the West Virginia game. West Virginia's defense was fairly porous last year. I'm optimistic, obviously, about Jamal Williams making it in the NFL. He's a fantastic talent. We know that. But we're looking for longevity, right?
Yeah.
And in order to have longevity, he's got to continue to get bigger and stronger.
The plus in that regard is you look at the offensive line he was running behind. Not a very experienced and stout offensive line, with all due respect. Putting in a brand new system, he did not have.
Give him Ray Fenga, Travis Bright, Jim Caressa.
Yeah, exactly. He did not have prime run blocking against these elite defenses, but he really made the most of it. I thought he was phenomenal last year, and I think his injuries. He just took too many hits, and I don't think a lot of that was his fault. He was taking hits that he otherwise wouldn't, running against a typical BYU offensive front, what it should have been.
And we just got come through Twitter, guys. Mama Williams herself just tweeted out a picture of the new graduate, Jamal Williams. So hashtag BYU grad. Jamal getting it done in the classroom.
He's a jolly good fellow.
Where is that? I want to retweet that.
Yeah, you should retweet it. I want to talk some basketball news before we go to break, though. We had, I think, Greg Wrubell jumped onto BYU Sports Nation yesterday to talk BYU hoops. And he said something that I think is somewhat debatable amongst BYU fans. So I wanted to listen to the sound regarding BYU basketball, some of the turnover rate, the transfers, and this millennial basketball generation. This is what Greg Wrubell had to say about it.
Kids are missing out on the album. I'm an album guy. I grew up with the album. I love the album.
So you agree with the analogy, number one?
I do.
You agree
absolutely.
with Dave? Because when I hear Greg Wrubell talk about, number one, Greg Wrubell knows probably more about BYU sports and what's going on there than anybody. So he is the true insider here. He just can't divulge everything that he knows, right? But I feel like when he speaks, that is him speaking. He's given the analogy that probably Dave Rose gave him.
He's an extension of Rose.
He's an extension of Rose.
And I would say that this is a shuffling basketball world now, where kids are thinking of themselves and they all feel like they can get to the NBA. But you know what? As a coach, those 17, 18, 19-year-old kids, they make up your success. You know, they're the reason why you get a contract. That you have a contract, a nice salary, a way to provide for your family, and you gotta change your ways to get the best of those kids.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you might not like it, but that's something you got to be adapted. You got to adapt and evolve and go with trends. And you know, there's a lot of coaches, and we see it in football a lot. Think of a guy like Chip Kelly, who just will not come back to the college game because he hates recruiting. Doesn't want to grovel at the feet of these entitled kids. I get it. It's not a ideal thing for everyone, but it's the name of the game. It's the foundation of what you do in the college game, especially in basketball. And, you know, I think that you're right, Ben. I think, you know, when Greg says that is an extension of Rose, and that's Rose's feelings, but...
Is it the right answer? It's not the right answer, though. And so who fits that bill, though? Let's give credence to that, because there is truth there. Jake Toolson, 100%. Left probably because of playing time. Not working out. lacks mental fortitude, doesn't want to compete. He was the starter at one point. Nick Emery beats him out. Nick Emery was on the bench, guys. Jake Toolson was the starter. Jake Toolson was lighting it up in the offseason. Gets into a competitive environment versus other opponents, and he folded. He's like, I'm done. Peace. Can't do it. I'm at UVU now. He didn't like how Coach Rose and the rest of the coaching staff maybe treated him, right? Corey Calvert, same thing. We used the Colorado Player of the Year, Gatorade Player of the Year. Came in, played initially. He got substantial playing time his freshman year. I thought he could have helped out this BYU basketball team this year. In fact, I miss both Jake Toolson and Corey Calvert. I miss Chapman. But those two guys, definitely. Playing time. Frank Bartley, you can make the argument for that. Maybe it wasn't consistent. Maybe he didn't know his role. Is he a part of the millennial generation that was looking for something more? Or do we put more fault on Dave Rose for not developing a relationship and giving him a clear-cut path? Gurney.
It's hard to know. The one thing BYU has going for it is just the other factors that play in that you think would keep guys at BYU regardless of just the simple, I want more playing time and all that.
Yeah.
Fortunately, that hasn't borne out. It's kind of hard to assign just one reason to any of these. It's really hard, especially with a non-LDS type that comes to BYU. I mean, maybe Frank Bartley wasn't doing the social thing well.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, there's so many extenuating circumstances, but when it does bother you is when you lose guys like Chapman, guys like Toolson. I mean, maybe they're run off in some regard, not feeling loved, but you got to keep guys like that. They've got to stay in the program.
And you got to keep guys like an Isaac Nelson too. He's 6'10".
Absolutely.
Well, he was pushed out.
He was pushed out, but he went into those exit interviews when he was done, and he felt like there was a miscommunication of not what his role, or not knowing what his role was. He had no.
Dave doesn't talk enough to his players.
I don't think there's enough communication. I think that's a big issue as to why we're seeing a lot of attrition year after year. Because I think BYU could be a program that you're maybe the exception to what's going on in college basketball, just because it is such a unique place. But kids do want to get more opportunity, more playing time. But also, I think there has been some rooms for improvement in terms of communicating with players and having a clear understanding of what roles are going into off seasons and what needs to be worked on, what these players can expect. Because I think that has been an opportunity where things can improve in that regard.
The three players that fit the mold of that description that Greg gave, I think, are Matt Carlino, Corey Calvert, Jake Toolson. Jacob Hartsock just quit. He just didn't want to play basketball anymore. Right? He just wanted to focus on school. Jordan Chapman. I think that things could have been done and handled better with Jordan Chapman and Frank Bartley. I think if communication is open and you do your best to keep them there and develop a relationship and help them find value in themselves and tell them what their role within the team is going to be, I think they could have been retained. So I put a little bit more, maybe a little bit more fault and accountability on Coach Dave Rose you got to develop relationships. You got to talk to your kids. Like I've been told multiple times that Rose just doesn't talk to the basketball players unless you're at your exit interviews. That's not good.
And I think that those comments by Greg can kind of shed light on that, because there's maybe a little bit of a generation issue where they just.
I'm an album guy.
Yeah.
What's up with this shuffle stuff? Like, you have ADD. Why do you have ADD? Why are you depressed? Why do you have anxiety? Just go out and work hard, compete. I'm sick of talking to you freaking brats. I'm right there. I don't like talking to them either. I don't. It's hard to connect. So I completely understand. It's just like you either change or you say, as Frank Martin says, right? It's not what's wrong with the kids. It's what's wrong with us as adults. We're at fault. The parents are at fault. and the coaches too. Kids don't know nothing about nothing, Frank Martin says, head coach for South Carolina. So if they don't learn in the home, you can't be lazy as a coach and not teach them once they get into your program. You have to instill that work ethic with them. You have to hold them accountable. You have to create an infrastructure that demands excellence in order to get excellence.
You think BYU would be in a position to retain guys better than most colleges, just with the periphery, what they offer beyond basketball? Maybe it's just a freak thing. It seems like a lot of this has been happening then I shouldn't say that. I'm just thinking back. BYU's had a lot of transfers, but it seems like it's been intensified here with.
You go back, Raul Delgado, Agustin Membrosino, the list goes on, even if you want to go back even farther.
But it seems like it's been intensified.
Lloyd, who was one that had some issues chemistry-wise and maybe with honor code and other things, who knows. But, yeah, you go down the list, there's probably been too many. According to Greg would tell you that this is the norm for all schools. I would say that the attrition rate at BYU is higher. But I don't have the data in front of me to say that this is conclusive, that's 100%. But it would seem that BYU has had higher attrition rates than other teams out there. That's the nitty-gritty, though, brought to you by BYUtickets.com. For any and every BYU sporting event, purchase your tickets at BYUtickets.com. You're supporting the athletic department and also the student athletes that you love. When we come back, question of the day, how many draft picks will BYU have, number one? Number two, will there be a top 50 draft pick from BYU in the next 3 years? Are we seeing it? Do you see the development? Are you confident in that? Who will it be? Brandon Sigurdy, Mitch Harper will give you their opinions next. Cougar Sports on ESPN 960. Signing off.